Going to replace the battery on the Plantronics Savi W710. There's the bottom rating plate. Yeah, the battery's got down to the stage where it's only lasting a few minutes now. There's the ports to go in the back, USB and power. Bit dusty, but there's the charging port, the docking port for the headset. And here's the headset itself. So a simple mono earpiece with a boom mic. And the battery actually lives under here, just by the charging port. And there's a rubber cover where you can peel back to reveal the battery. Here's the battery I had in previous. In fact, I've had 3 of these now. So this is the first Plantronics. Lasted a few years, I guess. And it normally comes with the little hook, as you can see there, little tool to prise the battery out, which was quite useful. So there's the original battery that came with it. 190 milliamp hours. So it's quite a small cell with a little plug on the end, a little connector. So it's just a case of digging the battery out and replacing it. So it's a very tiny, thin cell. And you're supposed to get easily a day's worth of audio from the battery. But it's down to just, 60 minutes or so, or even less now. There's the hook. Useful little tool you get. Here's the instructions. So as you can see, you can use your fingers just to open the cover. And then using the little hook tool, you need to prise the battery out gently, making sure that you don't rip the wire. Unplug the battery, and then plug the new battery in, and then squeeze the battery back into the small hole, and then you can close the door. You can use the other end of the hook tool just to push the battery and the wires back in. So that can be quite useful, because it can be a bit tricky just to get that back in. So there's the Y shape at the end, just to push the wires in, and of course the other end's the hook. And there's the connector again, so just 2 pins, only goes in one way. This time though, instead of the Plantronics original battery, I've gone for a Celonic battery. So I'm hoping this is going to fit equally as well, and hopefully it'll last a good few years. So there's the cell, same connector, longer wire there, as you can notice on this one. The cell itself looks a little bigger, but it might be just down to the packaging. So as you can see, the little wire there is certainly longer, so I may have to put the battery in slightly differently. So this one's supposed to be higher capacity, 240 milliamp hours, is that? So a little bit higher on the original. Now let's get to it. So underneath, we've seen the battery cover already. Let's just open that up. You can see there's a small recess there for a nail, and you can see the connector and the battery in there. This is where the hook comes in handy, just to hook that out. Of course, you can use something, paper clip, bent to make a hook. Let's get that out. It's a case of just grabbing hold of the wires. Be careful here not to damage anything. So just squeeze the battery out, and once you can get your fingers onto it, you can just pull that cell out. Come on, battery, you can do it. There we go. You get a bit of wriggle room, so you can normally get it out. And there it is. So it's the same one. So I've been through 2 Plantronics cells now. This one lasted even less than the previous, so that was a bit of a shame, but there it is. So let's just disconnect that one. Simple case of just popping that apart. Time to get the new cell in. So I'm just lining this up to make sure it's going to be the same size. Looks like it is. And the connector, you can only get it one way up correctly, so it'll only go in one way into that socket. And at the top here, you can see just where that hook is touching now, there's like a small couple of grooves that go into the top there. So plug that in. and then it's a case of feeding the battery back in. Because the wires are quite long, I'm going to have to probably turn the battery slightly and put it in backwards, because you don't really want to be bending the wire too much. So here we go, we put this one in backwards, and it does fit in quite nicely eventually. It's a bit fiddly, so it's just a case of pushing that back in. And then of course the plug needs to go in as well, so feed the plug in as gently as you can. There is a bit of a gap there where you can push that plug in, just like so, bend it round, and then it's shut the trap door, which really just presses into place. There's a kind of a small hook at the end of this rubber door, and yeah, that's it, job done. So plug it back in and obviously give it a good charge, because it'll probably need a full charge before use if possible. Then place your headset back on the dock, and you should start to see the battery light flashing, and that should be it. Wait till that goes solid, and then that should be 100% battery. And it's probably worth downloading the Plantronics app as well, just to make sure that that's fully charged at 100%. Cheers for watching.